Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take our attention and focus it on a manufactured ship by Misc, and I am of course referring to the Starlancer Max. Now the Starlancer Max, in my opinion, is one of the best ships CIG have released in a very long time. I would also add that it is probably the best value for money ship in the game. $250 on launch from the website for a whole lot of ship. When you put that into context, the Mercury Starrunner, as awesome as it is $260. This is roughly the size of a 600i and is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt in my mind that this is one of the best ships Star Citizen have released in a long time. CIG have done a fantastic job on this ship. It's incredibly well thought out. That's not to say that it isn't perfect. There are some bugs and issues I've had with this ship, but luckily we're in a year of bug fixing, so hopefully that will get resolved soon. I think from the outside, it's very clever how they've modernized what is essentially a bigger freelancer. Now, my issue with the freelancer, as many of you are aware, is they are cool, don't get me wrong, and the freelancers are fantastic ships, but they always look a bit frumpy, a bit depressed. So how CIG have managed to make essentially a bigger variant of freelancer and modernize it, I think, is hats off to CIG, because it looks absolutely fantastic. I will say as well that the Starlancer Max is an absolute joy to fly and load cargo. I really think it's fantastic in that sort of the way it's thought out, the way they've designed it to manipulate. I mean, it's so well thought out, there's no tractor beams on board, so that should tell you something about how practical it can be. I've not discovered any major flaws in the unloading and loading of cargo at the moment, so for me, that's a win. I'd also point out there are two more variants coming. One of them is the TAC. That will be like a combat gunship, so think of an upscaled Redeemer, and its competition will be the very cool Paladin, which I'm almost picked one up, but because the Starlancer is such a good ship, I didn't. I'm going to stay with the TAC, because the TAC, I think, will have some advantages, even though the Paladin is just so amazingly cool, right? I'm going to do a video on it. I just want a bit more information. Maybe we'll see. If we don't get any new sort of snippets of it within 3 months, I'll probably make a short video on the Paladin and talk about it. So there's the TAC coming, which will have more guns, more turrets, and more death and destruction. And then there will be the BLD variant, which is the base building variant of Starlancer. So in total, 3 variants of Starlancer, which won't be a bad thing. Judging by how this has been built, I am very much looking forward to their arrival. Now, the BLD, I'm almost certainly going to pick up, and I will be using the Starlancer Max to upgrade to it, depending on its price, of course, because I have plenty of cargo running ships, but I'm all about that base building, as many of you know. So 3 variants in total. Today we're going to talk about the Max. Now, there are some exterior details on this ship that I haven't picked up on other ships, or at least haven't paid attention to, which I really think sets this ship apart and actually shows what CIG are capable of when they go full send on a ship. And there are some details that I just didn't know existed, or at least I didn't see them on other ships. So aesthetically then, it's a big freelancer with improved modernized looks, right, in my opinion. It still has those classic winglets. It's got improved engines. You know, the engines look superb on this ship. I have no complaints there. Blue flames, whether you're afterburning or not, they look absolutely incredible. Yeah, there's really a lot going for this ship. But there are some changes I would make to make the ship better. And I don't think they'd be hard to implement, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it. I don't think they will. It's just some observations, really. In terms of weaponry, we have 2 size 5 turrets with 2 size 4 guns, okay? Obviously, that's a very nice touch. We know that turrets hit hard, and they do hit hard, and as they should, so it's nice to have those. But when you zoom in, even the remote turrets look fantastic. We have an optical suite here, so turrets get remotely operated from the bridge, and the fact that they've added these optical suites, I think, is amazing, right? That's just one of these little details I picked up. Above the engines then, we also have these sort of cooling ducts, and I thought, oh, they look really cool. Didn't notice them before, but then when you actually pay attention, you'll notice there's imperfections in the paintwork, chips, and sort of weathering where the paint looks like it's been not tanned, sort of scorched by the various stars around the universe. They've added a textured effect to the whole of the Starlancer Max, and I don't think that is something I've seen on other ships, or at least haven't paid attention to in the past. And it's things like that that I appreciate. So they've really done a fantastic job externally with this ship. Now there is also another rear facing and front, there's one at the front, one at the back of the ship, remote turrets, so you have two. Now I am going to preemptively strike the comments immediately. Someone will say it needs one on the belly. No, it doesn't. It's not a combat ship. These turrets in purpose are there for your self-defense, to protect your cargo. That's essentially what it's been built to do. Okay, if you want the combat variant with when it's dripping in turrets, you want the tac variant. Every ship has to have weaknesses, otherwise the game's boring. So that's why it doesn't have one, and it doesn't need one in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on that. Next up then, we'll talk about the general aesthetics, how it looks, why I think it's a modernized freelancer. Okay, essentially the Starlancer is the bigger brother to the freelancers. Okay, and they've managed very cleverly keep that classic freelancer look, increase its size, modernize it, and get rid of that sort of depressed look that the freelancers have. You'll notice there's less of a hump on the neck of the ship compared to a freelancer. It's a bit more subtle, but yet it retains that bigger brother look to the freelancer. Now I appreciate this ship more. Also, they've kept that classic wings design. Is it wings or wing? We'll go with winglets towards the rear. I did actually edit those out in my photo editing software to see if I preferred it without the winglets, because I'm a nerd, and turns out no, it just doesn't look right. So I'm glad they're there, and they've managed to carry over that look, which I think is fantastic, to be honest. It really does look more modern, feels more modern. And CIG and Misc ships have been absolute ever since the release of the whole A. CIG and their Misc ships, in my opinion at least, have been fantastic. The whole A was amazing. The whole C was also amazing, but just broken beyond belief. Like when that ship launched, it was horrific. But the ship itself is incredible, right? And this Starlancer is no different. I cannot heap enough praise upon it. Every time I see it, every time I get in it, every time I fly it, every time I use it, I'm having a good time. The Max is an absolute superb ship. One of the best that we've had in a long time, in my opinion. Now let's talk about its functionality a little bit. So, 2 cargo bays essentially, although kind of not. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure many of you know what I'm getting at. So we have this belly cargo loading area, which is just fantastic. There are limitations to some areas of loading cargo I've had, just because of the way the engine nacelles sit over the back, but there's ways to get around it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the game breaking, it isn't. It's a testament to how well thought out this ship. It really is incredibly well done. Plenty of room for vehicles. Again, the pilot has phenomenal firepower. The only thing I would change, I haven't yet, is I'm not enjoying cannons at the moment. I just think the fire rate is what puts me off of them. Sorry, words are hard at the moment. So I will swap these out eventually. But it's nice that we can have them. 4 weapons for the pilot, easily soloable. At the top, I didn't know what these were, and then upon greater inspection, because they just look like air vents, right? Like some sort of cooling system, maybe. That was my initial impression. Turns out, hello, have some missiles, which was, you know, pretty cool. Was not expecting that. I think it's the tubing that kind of puts you off what they actually are. But as you can see, yep, we got some missile launchers nicely tucked in, and they blend into the ship so well. Like I said, I had absolutely no clue that these were the missile launching pods. So that took me by surprise. A pleasant one, albeit. And the animation is superb, but when they fold back down, you'd be none the wiser to what these were. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. So we have two of the missile launchers on top. And then, of course, just in front of the landing gear, the front one, we have some more. Again, no idea they were there. So well hidden, if you like, in plain sight. I was quite surprised to see them in these areas of the ship. Now, this for me is probably the coolest part of the ship. I've had very few issues loading and unloading the Max. It's so well thought out because no tractor beams. Nearly every cargo ship has been given a tractor beam. This ship just doesn't need it. You're quite easy to manipulate cargo to and from this ship using this underbelly cargo bay. It's fantastic. So the ship itself has 224 SCU, but you can throw way more in here with some clever stacking. I actually completed the dire supply event using this ship by going to the PvP areas because nobody was going to them. So I think CIG need to read the room a little bit. I think the consensus is that we just don't want PvP all the time, right? Which is understandable. So anyway, using this ship to steal those packages, well, not steal them, pay them, murder people, take theirs. It was a breeze. It was so easy. Really enjoyed taking it. So that for me, that underbelly cargo is fantastic. Even the air intakes, if that's what they are, for the engines, you know, the detail, again, superb. We have pipes, wiring, brackets, nuts, bolts, screws, the works. Now, probably the most controversial part of the ship, in all honesty, is this slit windscreen that some people hate, some people love. I had a thought about this, right? I like the look of it, but if you pay attention to, now it's not 100% accurate because of the FOV, but if you pay attention to the dashboard in front of the seats, look how much just nothingness is there, okay? If they were to cut this dashboard in half and move the seats forward, that would increase visibility tenfold. So that would be something I would change. Whether they do or not, probably not. But if I was building this ship, that's what I would have done. I would have cut that dashboard in half and moved the seats forward, and then you would have had a lot more visibility and kept that slit windscreen design. Anyway, that's the aesthetics. Let's take a look then at the ship's weapons and components. Okay, so here we are with our trusty DPS calculator. Now please bear in mind that the ships are constantly changing. You should refer to this after every patch because the tweaks are coming in and they're coming in fast and quick. So what is on screen now might not be on screen at a later date. So we have our 4 weapon systems for the pilot, which are the M6As, I think, and I am not a fan of laser cannons at the moment, so I will probably, in all likeliness, throw some attritions on. I haven't used attritions in a while. The cannons for me, they slap, but I just don't like the fire rate. I'd much rather have more rounds on target, to be honest with you. The turrets have 2 size 4 rhinos, which are a very, very decent weapon. I have no intention of changing those at all. Then we have 16 missiles. Is it 16? 4, 8, 12, 6. Yeah, 16 missiles, which are the Thunderbolts. You could swap those out for Chaos to get a bit more bang for your buck, so to speak. But for me, not worth it. You know, the Thunderbolts are decent anyway. I wouldn't waste the cash, personally. The choice is yours if you're min-maxing. By all means, you could absolutely tank this ship up a little bit. We have 1 size 3 shield, which is the Stronghold. My thoughts on this. I haven't been attacked enough to warrant changing it. but you probably should, would be my sort of conclusion to the shield. But honestly, the stronghold isn't terrible. We have 2 size 2 power plants as well, which are the lloks cores, which is competition grade A, so they're pretty good off the bat anyway. Again, there are options there for you to choose. Coolers, we have 2 size 2s. These are the absolute zeros. Again, at your discretion, you could change those to make the ship a little bit more performant. And then finally, we have the quantum drive, which is a size 2 Sparkfire. I probably do need to change this to see if I can find something that's a little bit more fuel efficient and gives me a bit more range. Although I will say the Starlancer Max has, I think, 2.69 million in fuel with its stock loadout, so it's not horrific for quantum fuel. And then we have the Excelsior jump module and a size 2 Surveyor radar. Again, maybe a size 3 would have been more appropriate because of its size. I'm not sure. I think you might be pushing it there. I think that's open to discussion. So those are the stock components, and what I will do now is quickly go over the specifications of this ship. So that includes avionics and things of this nature. Please bear in mind again that things could change, so what you're seeing on screen now may not be relevant in a year, 2 years, things of this nature. But as you can see, here are the specifications. Now, of course, if you want access to the brochure, I will link it below the like button, so you can go through there, read it at your own leisure. But I will put this on screen for you now to have a quick read through. The only thing I would point out is, where is it? Is it the relay systems I wanted to mention? Anyway, there was something I wanted to remember and didn't write it down, so that's gone. But I think it was something to do with the relay systems, the fuse boxes. I just thought that 3, because of the size of the ship, I think 3 isn't enough, was sort of my main thought on that. I thought 3 relay stations, surely that's not enough for a ship of this size, but there we are. So that's the specifications for your reading leisure. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to move on board the Starlancer Max, and why I think it's an absolute genius design in some areas. I really do. So here you can see my beloved grey cat Steve, which is a brilliant name, of course it is. It's just fantastically well thought out, this ship, cargo wise. So this is what the rear of the ship looks like empty. You'll note that we still have cargo grids either side of this main sort of parking area, let's call it that, which allows you to put cargo in and still carry vehicles. So straight away, that is a ingenious idea. As you can see, I've thrown my Nurser and the Grey Cat Rock in here to prove a point, so you could easily go rock mining with this ship if you so choose, and have a Nurser in the back to respawn should there be a bug or an accident, or you get trapped by pirates, blah blah blah, things of this nature, right? So straight away, that's absolutely brilliant because you can still fit cargo either side. And yeah, I've been using this little area and my ship to actually explore Pyro a little bit. You should do it if you haven't. I've heard that there are people scared to go to... It's not as lawless as you think. Space is pretty big. They have to search bloody hard. I mean, I parked in the middle of Monox and didn't see anyone for hours while recording this video. So definitely go and explore Pyro. There's nothing to fear. But yeah, I've been ripping around with my Grey Cat, enjoying the scenery. Some of the planets are absolutely beautiful. This one is no exception. But as you can see, the ship is just brilliant in here. 2 elevators as well that take you straight up to the habitation deck. We have windows in here, plenty of room to get around. The ramp is really easy to access. A lot going for the ship, especially towards the back. As we move towards the front of the ship, we approach the midsection where we have the belly loading, unloading cargo area, which again, extremely well thought out. A little catwalk to and from the ship. Loading cargo. It's so easy. It's so easy. The only thing you have to worry about is if you're loading big crates, you might want to just be careful that you're not accidentally smashing the engine nacelles, but you can get... I managed to squeeze in 3 16 SU boxes either side and 2 8 SU boxes right at the end on top of each other. I think it was that. It could have been 2 4 SU boxes stacked on top. So I didn't try with the 32 SU though, so I can't comment on that. But anything lower than that is a cinch getting stuff in and out, and it's so well designed, so easy to use. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You can park at a landing area, lower this down, go to the freight elevators when they work, trademark, and easily load your cargo, get it sorted, get out of there. Problem done. Problem over. Job done. It's all good. Time to go sell this cargo. I really have very few complaints. Now, I'm sure someone somewhere will have a complaint with the higher SCU boxes. As I said, I can't attest to that because I didn't grab those 32 SCU, so I can't speak on that. But anything lower than that, I think, is a cinch, personally. Then we come to the elevator and airlock area of the ship, and then that door at the front will take us straight through to the armory. Very easy to get in and out of the ship. Very easy indeed. There's even a ladder for you to use to get up via the various decks should the power go down. Don't forget, engineering's coming and your ship will rely on batteries to operate. Whether or not that powers the elevators, I just don't know. But there is an emergency ladder there, which they've even added bright lights on there to indicate where it is. Should your ship go down, you can easily find this in the dark. If it's in a soft death state, for example, you have a chance to escape. And it leads directly to the airlock, which is very nice. Then we have a very generous armory. Just why? Well, why not? It's nice to have these on board. It's nice to have somewhere to store your suits and weapons. There's even a little bench there for you to sit down on if you wanted to. It's just, this ship, I think, offers so much for its price point. Honestly, value for money wise, I think it's one of the best, if not the best, in the game. As we pan the camera around, then you'll see you have your weapons locker as well. We have some monitors there, not entirely sure what they're showing, but yeah, who would have thought? Cargo ship with an armory. That's pretty cool. I appreciate it. I do. I think it will have a lot of uses. Especially with item recovery around the corner. Looking forward to that. Can wear on my best armor and shove it in every ship and not have to worry about it. Now that we come to probably my favorite part of the entire ship, the engineering room is absolutely fantastic. We're on the top deck now at the rear of the ship, and I love this area. It's so immersive. It's fantastic. I will say that I've lovingly dubbed these engines, if that's what they are, the washing machines of Pyro, because it looks like Pyro has been trapped in a washing machine. Pretty self-explanatory. So the washing machines of Pyro, they look fantastic. I have absolutely no idea what this is. Absolutely no idea. But my god, is it freaking cool. Right? It looks like a collider of some sort. No idea what it is. But it's also, almost hypnotic staring at these, right? Look at it. I could just sit there all day staring at that, as a screensaver or something. Absolutely amazing. No idea what it is. Now, this is just another thing with CIG and Misc ships in particular, right? Even their engineering area, you think of the whole sea, that's really cool in there, right? So is it a Misc thing where they just knock it out the park with engineering? I don't know. Then behind the engines, if that's what they are, we have coolant and, of course, the classic immersive steam, because we got to have steam. We just got to. Otherwise, it's just not engineering, right? Looks great. Extra details in there. Bit hard to manipulate the camera, but I got it in the end, so I'm happy with that. And then finally, the washing machine of Pyro. Look at that. It's awesome. I'm so easily pleased. It's tragic sometimes, but you can't deny that that is in fact Pyro in a washing machine, okay? It's also very hypnotic, and if you're not careful, can put you into a trance. So just don't stare at them too long, It's yeah, I think they look fantastic. So there are levels of detail in the engineering area of the ship, but I just think, yeah, superb, absolutely superb. What really sets this apart for engineering, I think, there are a lot of ships that have cramped engineering areas, which make things a little bit difficult. Now, depending on the size of the component, you know, it could be bespoke and you might not be able to swap these around, but this one you should be able to, this particular ship. Having room to maneuver is going to make life easy. It's just so spacious and well planned and thought out, this ship. It's fantastic. It really is. I can't wait for engineering to come along and things to start breaking, and then you have to run to engineering with your tractor beam, your repair tool, or whatever they might conjure up to fix these components. Running with your I still think 3 relay fuse areas is just, surely it's not enough for a ship of this size. Surely there's like 4 or 5. But yeah, very well thought out. Component access is there. You have the steps. You know, even the pipes on the ceiling look great. So we move on from engineering, brings us to a corridor. Corridors are pretty thin, but for a 4-man crew, it's a non-issue. The habitation area is in a square, essentially, and there are 4 living quarters, each with a master bed and ensuite. Now, I like this area of the ship, and I also know that people are going to say it's a waste of space. I don't think it is a waste of space, because, you know, a room with nothing in it, with absolutely nothing in it, is a waste of space. If a room has something in it, then it's being used by the room. It's not a waste of space. I like the fact that there are beds in here for you and your friends to log out. You know, 4 people are going to have all the space and privacy they could possibly want on this ship. I think it's one of those ships that has been designed to think of the crew, and then they've sort of built the crew, they've built the ship around the crew. So we have the double bed there, which is essentially 2 stuck together. 2 single beds have been welded together, as you can see the crease line down the middle. But there's a TV at the end, if that's what it is, some light switches, and a desk, and personal storage, and your own personal toilet and shower. So for long haul cargo runs, for long haul exploration, you know, if you just wanted to pot around with the ship, you're well catered for. Every single crew member has a double bed, a TV on the bed, a desk, a toilet, a shower. What more do you want for comfort in a ship that has ultimately been built to ship cargo around? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I don't think it's a waste of space at all. I think it's a very nice place to be, and I think it will be appreciated in the future. That's my humble thoughts on that. Next up then, we go through to the habitation area, and again, look at the space and what's available to you as a player and your crew. All for $250, which is just phenomenal. So we have a spaceball table without the spaceballs, because reasons, but it's there. We have a pretty decent cooking area with all the various ovens, microwaves, coffee makers, etc. A seating area. There's even a breakfast bar there with 4 seats, exactly 4 seats for 4 people. Yeah, I think it's really well thought out. Even the detailing in the thing, as basic as a kitchen. Yeah, lighting's fantastic. The detailing on the floor is fantastic. There's a lot going for this ship, right? Could it use a window? I don't think it could, because of the way the ship's built, and they have they have put extra windows in and around the ship anyway, so you can look out, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, the kitchen area is absolutely fantastic. Look at all the space in here. Kind of bizarre that there's no space balls though, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure, going from memory here, I'm sure the Carrack has its space balls on its space pool table. That is a mouthful of space balls. Let that sink in. Moving on. Yeah, I just think the ship and its generosity with its space, and how the crew members can get in and out, move around without any issue. I think at some points, if you were to fully crew this, I don't think you're going to see crew members all that often. There's so much space in here. So privacy's really nice. living quarters is fantastic. The habitation is fantastic. The kitchen is fantastic. Yeah, Misc ships, CIG and Misc have got a thing going on at the minute where they're just knocking it out of the park. They really are. Anyway, we'll move on. So we move on and we come to the elevator again as shown from downstairs. There's the light with the strobe. Sorry, there's the ladder with the strobe lighting on, which is, again, if the ship goes down, very easy to find. Hence, all the lighting. So you're not going to have any issues trying to get to the airlock or escape the ship. Moving on. We're moving into the neck of the ship now, where the escape pods are. Again, I think this is probably the best place to have said escape pods, right behind the bridge, where you're more than likely going to be spending most of your time. I'm not entirely sure how the escape pods are going to work for some ships. For example, you think of the Constellations, you get on the bed and it ejects you out of the bed. That becomes the escape pod. Whether or not these pop out from the side or just drop straight through the ship somehow, I imagine they get ejected from the side would be my thought, because we do need these to work, so I'm sure they're going to implement them at a future date, because leaving your ship with your life is important, and where they are placed I think is probably the best place. If you're stuck at the back, you might struggle a little bit to get to them, but hopefully you can hit the alarm and run like hell to get to the escape pod if you're at the back of the ship. Finally then, that brings us to the bridge. Again, I will point out, look how much space there is in here. It's incredible. Really, really nicely laid out. Lots of room. Terminals are fantastic. The MFDs, we'll talk about the MFDs in a minute actually. Let's talk about the engineering station and the remote turret station. So they've put windows directly above it so you don't feel boxed in, which I really appreciate. If you sit in those seats, having that view outside is great. Lets all the natural light in, if you will. It's just a really, really generous space for 4 people. In fact, the entire ship could easily have like a 6-man crew. Even 8, I would reckon, if you put people on rotation. And that brings us to the pilot and co-pilot seat. Now, there are some things I would change with the cockpit design of the ship that I think become a hindrance a little bit. I think the MFDs are in the wrong place, in my personal opinion. Although they look great, and it's a nice, clean, clear, crisp design, I just can't help but feel they are in the wrong place. But I have a solution to that, how I would change it personally. So, again, I have to find flaws with what is essentially a excellent ship. And words are hard at the moment. The MFDs, they're crisp, clean, very easy to read. But when you're piloting the ship, you have to look left or right to see what's what. It's annoying, okay? The only way I can see to resolve that would be to move them up onto that dashboard and have them pop up like a you know those sports cars that have the pop-up headlights? That's how I would do it. So you can see here, there's an area, there's like that yellow, above the yoke, there's a yellow button sort of thing, and left or right, there are 2 like square panels. I would put the MFDs in there, but make them pop up when you get in the seat so that they're right in front of you, and just remove them from this particular location, because it is a pain in the arse. Now you could argue that transfers over to the Misc ships in general, like the Hull C. I can't remember what the Hull A looks like internally, it's been a while, but that would be my solution to that. Cut the dashboard in half and move the seats forward, and that improves visibility tenfold. But the switches, the yoke, it's all superb. I have no complaints with the MFDs themselves, because I do prefer the hardbacks over digital displays. There's no 2 ways about it. Even the yoke has got excellent buttons that I want to press. Obviously, pin 1, 2 and 3, they're my clones from all the times I've died, and I've got special buttons, okay? But there is only 1 pin, just to clarify, and that's me. The fact that the yoke is just as detailed as the rest of the ship, you know, I like it. And I do like the yoke system because it gives you a sense of you're flying a Boeing as opposed to a FA-18 Hornet, right? So yokes on certain ships make sense, I think, and this is definitely one of the ships that makes sense. But the windows help make this bridge cockpit area just so much more immersive as the light trickles in. It looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic in here. Apart from my minor complaints, or where I would approve the ship, the bridge overall, incredibly spacious, plenty of room for you and your friends, easy access to the remote turrets. You know, it's got a lot going for it. Fire extinguishers, because fire's coming as well, don't forget. That's going to be very important. Firefighting. So everything in this ship, I feel, has been really well planned out, really well executed, but there are some foibles, which is fine. Every ship has foibles. And this is the engineering station, one of the engineering stations, and look at that for a view. So if you are on one of these, I wouldn't be complaining. Right, let's move on then to the tour. Okay, so it's time to do the tour of the mighty Starlancer Max, and long-time viewers know I like to do this for two reasons. One, giving you pretty pictures is one thing, giving you a sense of scale is another. Also, it allows me to pick up on things, my thought processes as we go through the ship. So, as we make our way towards the front, the first thing that I thought of looking at the front and the chin of the ship is, does that or does that not remind you of a whale? That sort of, I don't even know what to call that. It just reminds me of the, you see whales pop up, they got the same sort of gill thing. It has a whale look to it, doesn't it? From some angles, this ship, but it's not something that I particularly find unpleasant. It's just something that reminded me of when you see a whale popping up from beneath the waves. They have that thing on their chin, and so does this ship. As we make our way forwards, then you can see it's a tricycle landing gear. Again, pay attention to the texturing on the paint scheme and the little imperfections, the dents in there that they've added. I really appreciate those. So we have the weapon systems. We have a point of entry, which is the elevator that takes you to both decks. 3 elevators in total, of course, and the ladder. Then we go underneath. We have our piping, some thrusters. We have the cargo loading area and some more thrusters, because it is quite a heavy ship. I can't remember off the top of my mind what exactly the weight was for the ship, but it is a bit of a chunky boy. And then we are going to try to check the gear wells, because I like to see if the detail's been carried through the gear wells. Now the problem with this is they're very short and stubby. Is it a problem to have these short landing gear? Some people hate it, some people don't mind it. I think it very much depends on the design of the ship. Now, as you can see from the limited angles I could get, they do seem to have carried the detail in, but I want to see if there's any shortcuts, and I don't think there has been with this ship, because the detail they've added is absolutely superb. We've been over this. I think it's one of the best designed ships in the game, and the price point is just such a steal. And we can just about see that, yes, it's been modelled, although not a lot to see in there, but there is things there. Even the paintwork has got chipping in there. So, yes, to answer the question, the detail has been carried over. And there's that long old belly for your cargo loading. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. The engine nacelles, again, this is the area of the ship that you might struggle to get some of the SCU in, because the tractor beam that you're using may, depending on your tractor beaming skills, of course, might cause issues when that lower belly's down to get the cargo in and out. That's the area I'm referring to when loading, unloading cargo. And then we'll make our way round to the rear of the ship. There we have the winglets. Look at that view. Gorgeous. So we'll open the ramp. Nice fast ramp. We all like a fast ramp. Slow ramps, not so much. So we'll get in the back. There's our engines. And the winglets. Like I said, I did edit those out to see if it would look better. And It kind of does, but it doesn't suit what the Misc is, if you know what I mean. It doesn't suit their manufacturing style. So I can confirm through some sorcery and photo editing, it does look better with the winglets. And obviously, with flight surfaces coming to the game, it's more than likely going to help you traverse atmospheric flight. So definitely need to keep them. I just wanted to see if it was aesthetically better to look at this ship without the winglets. So we'll come in. We'll shut the ramp because we are in Pyro after all. It's a lawless territory, but you really shouldn't be that. You need to come and explore Pyro because it's amazing. And right at the back, we have some fuse boxes, but they seem to be shrouded in gold heat conductive material, which is fantastic. We have all the lights in the world in the back, adding to that immersion. Now there are some bugs on the ship I've discovered. We'll come across them as we go through the ship, which is annoying, but like I said, we're in a year of bug fixing, so hopefully they get ironed out. There's the grey cat just sat patiently waiting, but you really do get a sense of how big the ship is interior wise now that we're actually walking through it. Again, some extra windows allowing that natural light to come through. Talking about the natural light coming through, there does seem to be a small bug where there's like light bleeding through the ship, and I think that's from the ocean. I haven't noticed it anywhere else, but there's the cargo grid either side of the vehicle bay. Obviously, if you're not taking vehicles, you can stack more cargo in here. 224 SCU, but you can easily throw way more in here. And yeah, this is why we appreciate Windows, because look at that. Is that not the Grand Canyon of Pyro? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All we need now is CIG to fix these volumetric clouds because they look terrible. Also, they are incredible performance hogs, so most of the time I have them off. But yeah, excellent. We have an elevator here. Takes us straight to habitation, and another one here. But obviously, we don't want to go to the top deck yet, so we're going to keep making our way through into the belly of the beast. Really well designed. Really appreciate this. We'll go through the catwalk. Steel cabling holding up that catwalk as well for the extra structural support. Yeah. Such a lot of ship for its price point. I believe it's available in-game as well now. If you haven't, you should probably start grinding a little bit of money to consider picking one of these up because it's so easy to use, user-friendly, plenty of room, decent firepower. This is certainly a ship you want to be aiming for in your fleet. There's no two ways about it. I think it's fantastic. And then we have the airlock here. Again, that makes life a little bit easier for ship-to-ship and ship-to-space station docking. Always welcome those. Also make excellent emergency exits should an emergency arise. Yeah, you can quickly leave the ship, hopefully, with your body parts intact. That's the idea. There's the main elevator at the front of the ship. If we can get it to work. It's a little bit slow, I will say that. In emergency, that lift is a little bit slow. Not sure what happened there. A little bit of a bug, I think. We'll gloss over that. So, weapons locker in the armory. The fact that this ship has an armory at all, I think, is a very nice touch. Suit lockers. And a suit clamp. Good stuff. So, I can't wait until we're actually able to put our suits in here properly. Stood up, ready to go, and you can quickly zip in and out of your clothing. I think that's going to be amazing. So, well lit in here as well. Nice little monitor displaying all kinds of irrelevant stats. There's a weird bug there, but we'll go back through the ship because I want to start on engineering and make my way through to the front. So we'll take one of these elevators at the back in the cargo area. In we get. And we'll start at the rear. So this brings us out into the habitation area, facing the wrong way. They're not that bad, the corridors. They're actually roomy enough. And that brings us to the washing machines of Pyro. Incredibly immersive in here. Even on the walkway, we've got those independent lighting leading the way to the engineering terminal that's in there. But yeah, very impressive area of the ship. Again, Misc engineering seem to be some of the best, I think, at the moment. The whole seas one is incredible, although a lot more tight, let's be honest. So we have component base here. So we have our shield generator. One of 3 relays. Again, I'm still thinking that's not enough for a ship of this size. Some more components there. Power plants and... what are these power plants? Another fuse box here. So we've got 2 in the rear of the ship. And then batteries. And unfortunately, this is one of the bugs I discovered. Where the doors aren't actually... one more for luck? No, that's unfortunate. So that'll get fixed soon, hopefully. And then at the back we have the quantum drive, the engineering terminal, these hypnotic things that do stuff and things which are important. We have the quantum drive just here, and again, same bug. Try again. One more for luck. Come on, please. Now, I'm not sure when these bugs occurred, but it must be fairly recent, because the first time I walked around this ship, probably a month ago, maybe longer, everything was working, so that's relatively new, but that's where your components are. Then we have the engineering terminal, trademark, coming soon. Very much looking forward to that little gem that's going to come into the game, but let them fix it first, i.e. let's get this ship bug-free, please. But yeah, very cool in here. So I imagine you're going to be able to monitor the performance of components, check the repair state, wear and tear, all of that stuff on the terminal, and then apply fixes when needed, basically. When and where needed, apply fixes via the terminal. It should give you some data on what's running good, what's not. Degradation is a thing, so there's a lot to look forward with engineering. And in this ship, it's going to be so simple to do because you've got ample room and it's all pretty much located in the same area. Right, so we come out of engineering and straight away that brings us to the habitation area. So we have room here for flares. Okay, that's a nice little touch. Nicely well lit as well, so you can show off your trophies or scalps depending on how naughty you are. Then we have the double bed, which is essentially 2 beds slapped together, so that's a little bit cheeky, I will say that. They could have, you know, come on. You could have put a bed in there, especially as you keep giving them us for flares, for crying out loud. Anyway, we have a little storage fridge here. Now, I don't actually know if that's supposed to open, or if it's just an open fridge without a door or glass. I'm pretty sure that that was an actual button that worked, and I think it's just bugged. We have storage above it, so you can store more things in there. You have your own personal, everyone gets their own desk, their own storage, their own fridge. I'm pretty sure that is a button from memory. First time I walked around it, like I said. Let's see if I can put something in there. Ah, I put it away. Alright, well, never mind. I think it's a button and it's bugged. So, it is what it is. That takes us into the toilet area. Shower toilet combo. And again, there is a bug because these are supposed to animate. So, as I was saying, the ship is absolutely fantastic, but it does have a few bugs that kind of need fixing at the moment. Never mind, it is unfortunate, but yeah, can't really do a lot about that. We do have some shower gel, shampoo, shaving foam, little things like this that I think in my Zeus video I'd like to have seen in the kitchen. Obviously not shower gel, but like these little clues as to, you know, this is a living area. You know, things of that nature I think has been missing from the RSI ships. They've put in the Misc ships, and then although it's a small detail, I think it's important. I have no face because I'm too beautiful for camera. That is a fact. That's what my mummy tells me anyway. So we are just going to go into another habitation room here because I am determined to get that toilet working. I'm telling you, it works, I believe. So there we go. I wanted to show it because they even animate the toilet roll, which, you know, they don't have to do, but they did, and I appreciate the little details that make a ship. So yeah, they do work. Just if you're in a crew, whoever pulls the shortest straw has to go in the room without a functioning toilet. That's how I would decide that. You'd have to share someone else's, unfortunately, at the moment. Right, so we'll move on. As you can see on the map top left, the way the ship's laid out, it's very much a square area to get round the habitation. That brings us into recreation forge stroke kitchen area. Again, space pool without space pool tables, right? Doesn't make sense because you can clearly see that this is a very well thought out ship. The planning, the areas of the ship are well spaced. There's excellent lighting, windows, and then they go and let it down by not putting space balls on the space pool table. Crazy. Monitor, showing you all the important information, which makes absolutely no sense, but we'll take it because it's there for the immersion, and my god, do we like immersion. Yeah, no idea what this is cataloguing or showing me, but whatever it is, you can bet your bottom dollar or pound it's very important. Yeah, incredibly important. Make sure you pay attention to that monitor because you'll miss out on stock market crashes. Spaceball table, no spaceballs. Very cool, very nice to have. It gives you something to do. I hope they do actually make this a playable feature. There's a lot of things to come and a lot of polishes that are constantly happening, so I don't see why not. Then we come to the kitchen area. We have these things, which I'm sure are important, whatever they are. Could be ovens. We have I think this is like a waste disposal area of the kitchen. We have our hob, a microwave, a shallow sink. That can't be a sink on the left there. No idea what that is. Washing basin, something like that. I have no idea, but we're 1,000 years in the future. Let's just pretend it prints out digital food that you can consume. I think that's another hot plate there or something like that. But yeah, this will be, I can't remember, but I'm 75% sure that food will be an actual thing with like recipes. Don't ask me to find that source material because that's one of, they say so much it's hard to keep track. Anyway, we have, I'm guessing, a shelf here for cutlery and stuff, and even on the interior, look, dents. So one of your crew members has lost his temper and thrown around some metal plates because his Brussels sprouts were overcooked in the space cooker. But, you know, it's just nice to see that they think of these things. Think, you know what, let's put some weathering in. Have a trapdoor there, or panel, not entirely sure. Easily a dining table here for 4 people, not a problem. Not a problem at all. So I hope that they do follow through with the food cooking recipe thing on ships. I'm not so sure that will happen, but I swear they did mention it somewhere. Then we have the gravity generator and life support, which are missing. So I'm assuming that will be put in. Another terminal here with different commodities on this time. So what are these? Free cool filter fluctuations. I nearly said a boo-boo, but I very nearly said a boo-boo, but I didn't. I'm a good boy. Then that brings us to the escape pods. So, like I said, I think these are brilliantly well placed. I have no real issues with them where they are. I do think that escape pods beyond on the neck of most ships is a great place to have them because most of the time you're going to be in the bridge, depending on your crew size, of course. And the escape pods, I like to walk in these because in the past there's been a few where you didn't actually fit. And I'm pleased to say, if things go awry and you need to run away extremely bravely, the fact that you can fit in is obviously very important. Nearly broke my neck twisting the camera there, but yeah. No complaints from me. I think they will eject from the side in this. They go through both decks, which would surprise me. So we have our terminals here and the bridge over there. One of them's the dedicated. This is the remote turret station. Yeah, this is the one. So we access this. Again, lovely window, although it's a bit dark now. And we need to enter the turret. I didn't turn it on, but we will. Now, when you traverse these, obviously the turrets are very responsive. Some turrets on other ships have been a little bit buggy. This one seems to be okay, but we do need to turn it on via the power switch. So, yeah. The gun depression is actually fairly good. This is obviously the rear turret. But we have no belly turret, and I don't think it needs one. This is purely for self-defense, these turrets. That's not to say that you couldn't use these offensively, because of course you could, but you'll see there's the spoiler here. I call it the spoiler, I'm not sure really what to call it, that sort of blocks the front. So this is a dedicated rear ship protection turret. But the gun depression isn't horrific. So you could, in fact, if you got attacked, in theory, if you hugged the deck, that forces your opponent above the ship. You could get away with it, right? You just have to be a bit creative. Nothing really untoward about it, but we'll jump in the front turret as well and go over that. Again, lovely window. Can't see anything at the moment because it's pitch black, but we'll turn the power, turn it on and get in this one. This one has a better firing arc right up until the spoiler, so you could ward off would-be attackers to some degree. I'd also argue that these turrets make excellent anti-personnel ones on the ground, but you can see we can just about shoot over the neck of the ship, but the rotation's fine. Depression is okay, it's not horrific. We're sort of cornered off by that turret, but again, you can get rounds towards the rear of the ship, so it's not all bad. There's a lot going for the ship in general, and I think if you start slapping turrets everywhere, the functionality, you'd lose so much functionality with the cargo bay underneath, the ramp. You could possibly get away with a chin turret, but then it starts becoming a gunship. So I think the turrets where they are in the right place, and I would not want to see a belly turret or a chin turret, because then it's becoming a combat vessel. It's not a combat vessel, it's a cargo hauler. You have to remember that. There's another ship coming designed with combat in mind. Right, avionics, so that's pretty cool. Radar and relay. And that's the third relay, which I just feel like that's one. There's just three is just not enough. We get into the bridge behind the cockpit seats then, and yeah, really nicely lit. The floor looks fantastic. There's caution stickers. We'll jump into the co-pilot seat, and this is another problem. Radars at the moment on some ships, including this one, that is not visible and or readable in my opinion. I don't like it at all. I would prefer it down here, especially for the co-pilot. That should be projected to my face in this little area where the yoke would be in the pilot seat. The MFDs, as you can see, if I'm flying this ship, I don't want to have to move my head like that to operate these. I'd prefer it if they were moved up, but we do have the buttons that function. Of course, the pilot and the co-pilot share controls in some aspects, just not the flight of the ship itself. Visibility, again, it's not horrific. You do get used to it. It's not the best because it is that slit thing, but I understand it adds to the aesthetics. But if they just got rid of this dashboard, like cut this in half here, they could move these seats forward. You see what I mean? Move these seats forward and the view would be so much better. Have the radar put in front of you, projecting in your face, especially for the co-pilot. No need to, just radars need fixing in general. I think the only one that's really good at the moment that's clear to read is the Aegis Reclaimer. Is a really nice radar. Some ships struggle with it, and I know not all the UI has been implemented correctly for each manufacturer yet, so there's still work to be done. But yeah, those are my complaints in terms of the ship and operating it. Again, the radar, it's hard to see. I don't want it there. You know, for the pilot, I don't know where they would put it or how they can improve it, because you have the yoke in front of you, but it's very tricky to see. Maybe they could get it down here above the yoke so it's projected to the pilot's face. The UI itself is one of the clearer ones. I will say the UI is a mess in some ships. I would prefer... my issue with the UI at the moment is the colour scheme matches the nav points. So if you're trying to get to an orbital marker, for example, it blends into the UI and you can't see it, and it's really annoying. MFDs, again, I would have this moved and have it pop up like a little monitor. Move that here on, see these squares here? That's where I'd put it, but make it pop up like a Porsche's headlights, those cars, and have it projected in the face of the pilot. That for me is the solution to this. So not perfect, the ship, if we discount the bugs because they can get fixed, but the layout for the cockpit could be improved, would be my consensus on that. Otherwise, the visibility, although fairly small, it's not horrific. You do get used to it. Like I said, my solution would be to cut out this massive dashboard and move it up closer. We have buttons on the left here that don't seem to do anything. We've got pin 1, 2 and 3. There's only one of me, and that's enough for the planet, I think. So minor complaints, but I'm willing to take it for the fact that the ship is just so well thought out, extremely well detailed, easy to use, user friendly, has room for friends, has decent firepower, decent range, and can take cargo and vehicles at the same time. It's a win. This ship is a win. So there we go, guys. That was my video on the Starlancer Max. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what buttons to press, and I of course will have more Star Citizen content coming to your location very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care and cheers.